7th as we load into the game and Fnatic will ban first, is that these matches aren't really all that close, Michael. They're mostly all 2-0s. And even when they are 2-0s, you still tend to see that the matches are lopsided. I'm looking at score lines here. 6-1 victory, 6-2 victory, 5-2, 5-1, 6-1, 6-3, 7-1. These are results from maps that they have en route to the Stomps where they're 2-0 results. So as much as we love to tout this as, oh, it's always so tight, what tends to happen is the team that runs away with map number 1 snowballs. And that's something that both of these teams are going to need to focus on. Unsurprising now as well that the two most banned operators for Nora-Rengo, both Nomad and Echo, are taken off of the board. A bit of a interesting choice on the Thatcher there from Fnatic, and Amira is pretty commonplace here. So we've got our 4 operator bans. Let's get things underway with map number 1 between Fnatic and Nora-Rengo.
I totally agree with what you were saying there about the how close these teams are, and that's what makes it really confusing sometimes, where you have such a similar kind of result for both of these teams. It's hit and miss, and I think a lot of it comes down to, like you said, the snowball, and that snowball effect usually emotion within the match itself. So a big question going into a lot of people's minds for this match is which team is going to let the match get ahead of them first. Now, as we go straight in, got our bans done. Monte not being there, huge ban there for Nora. I think the Nomad as well is going to be pretty. It wasn't Montaigne, it was Nomad, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay, that's weird. Well, the Thatcher and Nomad, both huge bans there for the attack. Not sure why Montaigne was up on the screen there for a second, but it's done now. And as we load on in, we'll have a first defense for Fnatic in Armory. So pretty standard fare here. Nothing too crazy going on.
So we've got some interesting things for you as well, just to note that you'll notice on the broadcast side of things, we have some pop-ins and pop-outs. When we have the LAN build available, you can see a variety of different views, and well, on the right side of your screen, you can gesture towards this persistent top-down view, which is really nice. It's something that is integral to understanding this game and exactly what goes on. It gives you a really good view of it, as well as this, too. If you want to keep track of what's going on with all of the different operators, you've got that available. So it's unsurprising to see that with the very first defense, it's going to be upstairs in the Armory and Archives bomb sites. Pretty commonplace. So there are teams that will roll the die and go downstairs to Workshop and Ventilations, though it is very, very uncommon, I would say, and often ill-advised against teams that might be prepared for it.
No, well, what we've got here is, I think, a decent amount of preparedness on the side of Nora. They have brought 2 Hard Destructors, one in the form of that Maverick. Of course, you're going to need Maverick since Thatcher is not there for many of the different attacks that you're going to execute here on border, especially towards Armory. Ramu being very cautious on the Armory wall. And it looks like it's going to be actually an office take here from Nora. Seems like they want to clear out CCTV, establish that they've got their flank covered, and then start hitting from offices. It's a pretty smart strategy overall, and it might catch one free kill early on. Yes, indeed it will. There's the first kill here for Mariu. Beautiful game sense and teamwork. Somebody droned Mariu to get that kill. Gotta applaud that.
Lusty had only put down 2 of his shockwires as well, looking to actively bandit trick that Archives wall, and we see some teams take a kind of a bit of a preferential look at which site they want to go for. Now, keeping hold of anything inside of office is incredibly important. That's a bit of a missed C4 from Rizraz that will go out and allow the wall to open up too. Rizraz could get potentially aggressive here. He gets droned out though, so is any possible surprise that might be given away to his opponents is now vanished. He's gonna have to find some safe harbor, but there's got Mariu looking on in, and a second kill. Easy work for Nora-Rengo so far to take complete control of offices and march on in towards Archives now.
Yeah, this hold by offices has worked against Fnatic so strongly, and Nora's just going to waltz on in now that they know they have full control. This nade could go terribly wrong, but it won't, but at the same time, not get the Evil Eye. Great play there from Virtue on top of the shelf to get the first kill for his team, and he gets a second. Magnet there also contributing. Now Fnatic have brought themselves into the lead.
It's just a bit of sloppiness from Nora-Rengo. I don't know if they were a bit too preoccupied trying to figure out exactly what they wanted to do, but that Evil Eye being up will provide so much information for the rest of Fnatic, who, as you said, took that lead, but Ramu's going to go for broke. He'll be last one left, shut down by Aces as Magnet collects another kill. And despite a bad start, Fnatic will take the very first round here in Milan and put themselves up on Nora-Rengo's map by 1.
All right, so that was an interesting round. It seemed like for the majority of that round, we had Nora in control. I'd say that, first 2 picks, everything's looking good. They have control of offices. It's easy to turn that into Archives control. But unfortunately, it just didn't turn out that way. Virtue with an excellent play on top of the shelf follows that up with a second frag inside of Fountain. We didn't see where the C4 from Magnet got the kill. You could guess from below in all likelihood. Lots of information, as you said, from, for example, that Evil Eye. And it wasn't destroyed by the grenade. Don't know what happened there. Must have just been slightly off on the grenade placement.
It might have blown up a little too early.
Yeah, could have happened on the other side of the pillar, maybe. A little too late, a little too early, a little too late. Whatever it was, unfortunate for Nora, and it did work out heavily against them.
I mean, also, though, that Evil Eye being up wasn't necessarily why that swing happened back in their favor. A lot of it was piggybacked off of Virtue's play and then Magnet as well. There's Valkyrie cameras in play additionally, so there might be multiple different instances of information that could possibly be being given to the rest of Fnatic.
Right.
So it's all speculation on our part, but they were able to react effectively. And you could see that they kept one body from Fnatic inside of Armory, the rest refocused on that Archives wall. And there wasn't really much follow-through. You had a Maverick on the board, you had a Thermite on the board, you know you need to take out that Archives wall. Wasn't successful. Virtue played that perfectly, and when you've got somebody like Virtue on this team, or you've got somebody like Virtue in this game, you always have to be prepared for those kinds of plays because he's somebody whose accuracy and his game sense has shown itself to be among the best in his entire region, and with enough opportunity, likely the rest of Pro League. We'll march on into the second round, and it's a downstairs defensive site for Fnatic as they've locked the Armory and Archive site up top. They're going to run with a very similar lineup, but they don't really need a Bandit there. Also, some teams like to bring a Castle, not in this case for Fnatic. They're likely going to try and impede any progress with those Mute Jammers and the Goo Mines from Lusty, providing Lusty can live long enough for them to actually matter.
Are you just trying to entry here into offices? He's waiting for information. Virtue going to get another early kill for his team. He has just been fragging out in these first 2 rounds, and he's getting aggressive again. He might get a second. There it is. A second round in a row. 2 kills early for Virtue, and one of them on top of shelf. Such a predictable spot. Amazing that he does not get punished.
He was in that exact same position, perched over top to stop that push into Archives in round number 1.
Yep.
So, not just liking that angle, but also a mistake from Nora-Rengo to not bother to look up there. You know that with a ventilation and workshop defense, there's going to be some investment from the defense. And there you have it, a nice replay just to show you exactly how Virtue was able to get that kill. And he's going to lord over top. Nora-Rengo will need the next 90 seconds to be able to clear out and take map control completely as they now tailor their push over towards the site. But down 2 very important operators, both the Buck and the Twitch. This could prove to be quite difficult.
Hill's trying to cut off rotation there, allowing for his teammate above to get the kill. That's Ramu. Great coordination between Papilla and Ramu. Virtue, though, will get another kill. So there you go. That's 3, I believe, in this round for Virtue. And he has just been having a blast. Looking for a potential ace at this point. Going for a pre-fire from Customs into Tellers. Only a minute for these 4 defenders on Fnatic to delay Nora's last 2 attackers.
And Razel seems to have a line of sight onto where Virtue is going to be, or at least some information as to where he could possibly be playing out. He'll miss most, if not all, of his bullets onto Virtue as he remains unscathed. And Razel will walk all in on his lonesome. Ramu's off alone. There's Virtue. He's going to grab his 4th. Are they going to give him the 5th? Well, he'll lose 1 as Ramu takes down Rizraz, but he's got his work cut out for him. He'll have to retrieve that diffuser, rack up as many points as he can in the process, but where is he going to go? Does he have information on the rest of the defense? This is a very unenviable task, and he might just go for broke and drop into the heart of the site, which he will. But he doesn't have that diffuser, keep that in mind. So all he needs to do is go for kills. Great patience from Fnatic with 15 seconds left. But there's Ramu, and Lusty will take the very final kill. 4 for Virtue, a good quadra kill, but that's going to be all he's going to get. It's a team effort. Fnatic will take round number 2.
I mean, at this point, I think at this level, you're not really going for the aces after the aces. You just want to win. So totally fair to just lock that out. And really, that is the way I would describe that round. It was a complete lockout by Fnatic. They didn't even let Nora take control of offices upstairs without being punished. Beautiful angle play from Virtue. Wow, 1 through the wall. I mean, just everything looked out fantastic there for Fnatic. And even actually that second kill, the 4th total, came through the wall as well. Quite interesting on the same exact angle.
You could see that all of Fnatic was just laying in wait. And I mean, like we said, you've got a Maestro on the board, you've got a Valkyrie on the board. They are likely being hidden, those utility, or those gadgets rather, and that utility is likely being hidden in places where they will continue to exist for a long period of time. Nora-Rengo, without the Thatcher, the only real device denial that they're going to have will be in the hands of an IQ or possibly even a Twitch. But the Twitch was one of the very first people killed. That's going to rule her out. Yeah, you can just simply check for Valkyrie cameras with your own eyes. That works too. But right now, I would suspect that Nora-Rengo might change course and might prioritize the fact that they're going to need somebody to try and hunt down all these info devices that are being created and thrown around by Fnatic, because it's been Nora-Rengo's undoing.
Yeah, I think the information certainly has been working well for Fnatic. Clearly that Thatcher ban working out great. And I think it'll be a similar story when we go over to Fnatic's attack, because they did ban out Mira, something that I'm guessing they just did not want to deal with, prioritizing taking those straight-up gunfights. And with Echo also banned out, there's a lot less disorientation coming out of the defense. So Fnatic making it work with the kit that they have available, impressive. And also, again, that Thatcher ban seems to be right now hurting them. There is, of course, the IQ, like you talked about, that could be potentially brought, but it just hasn't been that prevalent here so far. There are a number of teams that fail to flex onto IQ when it seems necessary for whatever reason, and, well, maybe that's going to be the same case here. Well, that hasn't been the only issue. Of course, it's not an Echo in play right now. It's a Maestro in play. So you need to bring something that can destroy the Evil Eyes. Because the nades have been failing most of the time here from Nora, they need to bring other solutions. And Thatcher's not there. So yes, like you said, the Twitch would probably be the pick, the play. We'll see if Nora can make that work moving forward.
And the other thing, too, that's most damning about losing that Twitch is it's in the hands of Ramu, who came in onto this team for the Invitational. There were a lot of people and a lot of fanfare around him. There were a lot of people who thought that he, in combination, in conjunction with Waka, would prove to be this double threat that would be able to punch really, really well, along with Maryu there, a triple threat, so to speak. But Ramu dying early on. One of the best players on Nora-Rengo, one of the best players in all of Japan, and probably one of the best players in all of APAC. He can't really contribute all that well. It doesn't really matter what operator he's running on. But anywho, it's going to be a Bathroom Teller's defense right now for this third site. And we're just waiting on, believe it or not, Magnet has somehow broken his monitor. And it appears to have been fixed. Leave it to Magnet to be able to do the inconceivable, I suppose. But it's all been fixed up and we're just waiting for him to get on in. And then we'll go with Bathroom Tellers. Now, with Mira being banned out, it stands to reason that we won't see a customs defense. She often ends up being extremely important. And while there are ways around it, a lot of teams do prefer that Bathroom Tellers site with the tools that they have.
Well, Bathroom Tellers, you look far enough back, was a really unpopular site. But once players and teams figured out, hey, you know, you could defend this the same way you defend customs, just vertically, just hold above. It became a lot more popular. People started to lean heavily into it. It's definitely not a go-to site. That's the thing about Border. It is one of those maps that has two go-to sites. That's your armory, your ventilation, defense, those two. And then two off-sites. So that's Tellers and Customs. Those off-sites played very similarly, like we talked about. But it's really preference when it comes down to it. And because they tend to be so in line with each other and really come down to personal preference, a lot of teams lean towards Tellers because, maybe we'll catch them off guard. Maybe they won't be as prepared for Teller's defense as much as a Customs defense. But, you know, that's just the cycle. That's how it goes.
And let's talk about when delays happen, too. It essentially works as almost a technical pause for these teams.
Yeah.
Nora-Rengo now find themselves down 2 on Border.
Good point.
And they now have an opportunity to do what over the next, the last 5 minutes? Talk amongst themselves. Sort out their issues, prepare for it. Now, you know that because both the armory and ventilation sites are locked out, you know that it's going to likely be a Customs or a possible Bathroom defense. Where are you going to go? You have lots of time to be able to get into the right mindset. And also, maybe possibly shake out some nerves. I know that for a team like Nora-Rengo, you are as experienced as just about anybody else here. This is a team that has not missed a LAN. If you go all the way back to Sao Paulo, or the Invitational rather, because they weren't at the Invitational 2018, but since then, they've been a staple of online competition. Then, of course, don't discredit the fact that APAC has their own LAN competitions as well to add to that. But they're working with a newer roster. They have a big hole to fill in Waka. They've found Yoshingo to come on in, replacing JJ. The team seems to have a higher ceiling, but you still have some things to work out.
So, on that note, actually, quite interesting. In the most recent time that these teams met each other, it was actually at the APAC Finals in April 14th, 2019, and it was a 2-0 victory for Fnatic, 2 7-4s in a row on Consulate and Border. The last time these teams met at a LAN event, very recently, and it was on this map where Fnatic managed to take it. So if that record holds true, we might see another situation similar to that. Now, it looks like we might have everything ready for you guys, and yes, indeed, things seem to be working. So we're going to go straight in, and as we talked about, Bathroom Teller's defense. Definitely a solid site to defend, though, again, not as ideal as others. If you complete a full cycle, that's 3 defenses in a row. That'll allow you to go back to your first and your primary bomb site. It would be impressive for Fnatic to pull that off. This is the low-hanging fruit, as we like to say, for Nora, the round that Nora certainly should take. And if they're incapable of taking it, it does not look good for Nora, at least in this first half.
You're given the fact that there's a site that is less defendable than the others. That is your opportunity to possibly come back into this game. As mentioned right at the very start, these teams are very evenly matched as teams, but when they play each other, that's not the way it tends to go. These 2-0 results that we see dominating the way that these teams have played each other, and then how lopsided the actual maps end up being, the danger zone for Nora-Rengo is in the next couple rounds, because historically, the team that takes a big early lead doesn't really relinquish it. The only real time that comes to mind was in the 2019 quarterfinals for the 6 Invitational, when it ended up being an 8-6 scoreline for Bank for Nora-Rengo. It was a very close matchup, but since then, the team that storms out to this big lead has a really good opportunity against one another, and given the fact that Nora-Rengo is still trying to iron things out with their team, and given the fact that Fnatic seems to have started off quite strong, that is a problem that Nora-Rengo might have to work against. So, with this Bathroom Teller's defense downstairs, you're going to see an awful lot of presence on that second floor. Basically sitting over top of the Teller's site, you might have some kind of control or rotate inside a bathroom that you can use inside of the back of Workshop as well, just to hold extra map control. But it really depends on the way that the teams use it. And already, a concession here from Fnatic as they realize they've lost that upstairs hold inside of offices, and they have to fall back.
Well, only a little bit of delay work done by Fnatic. It is going to make things much more tricky. The way that Fnatic have been playing in this match so far seems to be pure aggression. I mean, all of the recovery that we've seen from Fnatic in that first round, it was Virtue just getting aggressive, taking fights. And the way that they've set this site up, they haven't even reinforced the primary panel into Tellers from outside. That is a little bit telling, don't you think, of how Fnatic want to play it. First kill in this round for Rizraz, but he gets refragged by Raysil. So it's not quite over here for Nora. They're going to keep the momentum going. That's going to make things tricky.
And Ray almost loses that fight as well. So more pressure that's going to go onto the anchors inside of Fnatic, and you know how hard it is to hold this site as an anchor. It's hell. You need to be able to take fights off-site and hold that map control as long as you can on every single site. But this one in particular, because it's very claustrophobic with where you're going to sit. Raysil's still very low. He could possibly end up in a contest with Virtue, as both Lusty and Virtue are trying to hold down a push inside of Tellers.
Plan is actually going down, and it doesn't seem like Fnatic has any denial for this situation. They think it's behind Soda. A bad call goes down, and that's the diffuser along with it. Magnet with a double piece, though, and Nora are starting to lose bodies. Papilla's going to get one onto Magnet. That's a great refrag, and he's on the perfect post-plant position, as is Mariu. Though a miscalculation in the extreme, and Fnatic will get an excellent recovery, one that they should not have been gifted.
No, and there you have it, and that kill onto the Capitao had to have been the straw that broke that camel's back, not just in terms of the fact that it put Nora-Rengo in a 1v3, but where that Capitao is playing, he should be largely unkillable. You're playing up top, outside, looking at those 2 windows. You have a line of sight onto that diffuser. Don't peek it. Don't put yourself in that position. And, I mean, we'll probably get a good look at it here in the replays as to exactly what happened. But, man, that is a powerful position, especially with the way the Capitao is played as of late. You have to wonder if the usage of the para factors in at all, because with the M249, you can sit up there and just kind of rain death down upon people. But here you have it. There you go. Virtue. Beautiful shot. And Papilla really should not have lost that at all.
Yeah, and then that ultimately, I think, cost the round, along with the Glass dropping through the drop. Again, big miscalculation. It did cost Nora quite a lot. In fact, it cost them a whole round. So what that means is now we've just seen Fnatic complete a full cycle on border, something that you don't normally see happen. Again, as this is not one of those maps that has 3 extremely comfortable sites on it. Given that, it means Fnatic now get to go back to their most comfortable site, which is Armory. That is evident as it was the first site that they picked. Now, last time we saw Nora attack onto Armory, they went for an office take, and they were just stopped dead in their tracks. They couldn't make it past offices, and then they started to adjust, started to try and go for some Hail Mary strategies, rushing in through the Armory door. It did not work out. Fnatic with a lockout, and it was thanks to Virtue's excellent, aggressive fragging towards offices.
Possibly enabled by, as we mentioned, a Maestro camera or even a Valkyrie camera.
Yeah.
But it was really impressive with how effortless Nora-Rengo took control of that wall. They picked Lusty off, who was trying to bandit trick on the office wall, and then immediately snowballed and picked up a second kill, putting themselves in a 5v3 with full office control. But nobody bothered to look up in archives, and nobody bothered to possibly confront Virtue when, as you said, he got very aggressive. Back onto the roof control now for Nora-Rengo, as I wouldn't be too surprised to see an Armory side take, knowing that how the offices tends to go for teams, and if Nora-Rengo's biggest issue is that they don't have good coverage on the archives play, then office control can be lost very fast, as we saw in that first round. But for the time being, it does look like we're going to see yet another archives take, as all of Nora-Rengo is aligning themselves over by the office wall.
So look at this, Virtue has been aggressive on this ventilation window before, for the first time that Fnatic went to that Armory defense. It was how he got the first kill of the round. And this Valkyrie cam is what is enabling that. There is an IQ for Nora this time around. So it is definitely possible that this will work out in Nora's favor. But Virtue is still continuing to play with fire. Oh, a free kill here for Ramu. Magnet goes down. That's a great start here for Nora.
That's got to be good drone work that enabled that, to play with the Valkyrie down below, completely unprotected, nobody watching. And yeah, I mean, 90 seconds in, you've got your very first kill. You need to go from there. All it's going to do is play somebody below who likely holds a C4 in their hand. And of course, if you know over where the offices and archives floors tend to be, that's a good position for a Valkyrie to find herself with the C4 in hand.
So, Capitão's still in play this time around, and he's going to start pushing in his firebolts. That's going to make Virtue's life a lot more difficult, and it's clear that Nora are well aware of where Virtue is playing right now. But he's got support from Lusty and Aces, and he's actually going to be able to make it out despite 2 firebolts being used there. Truly a lot of utility for nothing.
A lot of bodies stacked up, though, for Fnatic over by the sandwich side of things, and this could be very dangerous, as they could end up getting caught out and then pushed back. If Nora-Rengo can sweep in, it'll put Fnatic in a position where they're going to need to retake, but they're going to be retaking into the line of sight of Nora-Rengo. We need to try and time this frag grenade perfectly alongside a Maverick poking his way on in. Lusty is going to be in dangerous position, cannot win the fight against Mariu, and it will once again be an advantage for Nora-Rengo, but immediately traded back from Rizraz on the Mariu, and Fnatic will look to hold on, but they are sequestered. None of the 3 remaining members of Fnatic are over towards the proper site. They are nestled inside of Armory, and they'll need to do something to push on out. It won't be Rizraz as Ramu catches them from below, and Aces and Virtue will need to be so big as they have been in the past. Especially with Virtue on the board, you can't write this one off just yet. But here's going to be some secondary pressure now from the IQ. Aces will be there to possibly greet her. Rushing on in as Aces taken down, it'll be all on Virtue. 3-1, but no, Papilia will shut him down in the very first round for Nora-Rengo will go their way as a great lockout. As all of Fnatic got trapped in the wrong bomb site, they did not have any tools to dig themselves out.
So, Nora screams second time's the charm, and here we go, going on to Armory for the second time. Nora managed a successful attack. Beautifully done there. Ramu, really the star of the show, managed to get the opening frag onto that Valkyrie, and that is huge. Why? Because the C4 from Magnet from below is why we saw, again, that momentum that Nora managed to generate in the very first round completely blunted. Virtue, of course, contributing with his kills in that first round, and well, it was a great comeback from Fnatic, but that comeback denied by Ramu almost single-handedly. Like you said, though, he was likely droned in to get that kill. Could have been he saw the camera on his electronic detector, but it's less likely that that is the case. It is clear that Nora were aware of Magnet's roam downstairs and countered it quite directly. Well done to Nora. Beautiful read on how Fnatic set up their defense, because there was no adjustment from Fnatic. It was almost the same. Well, okay, correction. They did shift off of the office take being so fiercely held. So, yeah, Fnatic adjusted heavier to a site defense, and it didn't work out for them.
I mean, Lusty lost that fight as well inside of the doorway, and then when Virtue playing in his position over by the ventilation or the jump out over towards the vent area outside, what ended up happening? He fell off, and he was sitting next to Aces, waiting over by Sandwich, as they were likely expecting a play from outside of Archives, but it never came. The Archives push came in through Fountain, it came in through the offices, and then finally, when the diffuser did go down, it went in near the default plant spot, just through the doorway inside of Archives. Ultimately, the pressure that was applied from Nora-Rengo was perfect because it pushed all of Fnatic back, and Fnatic just couldn't retake. They didn't have anything at their disposal to do so. You got a Maestro with a great gun, sure, but his Evil Eyes are not going to be an influence at that point because it was likely that Nora-Rengo took them out. You also had Virtue, once again, great gun, no real utility to do so. It's a tough position to find Fnatic in, and it was very well played by Nora-Rengo.
I really want to know when Nora's going to figure out about that camera being thrown out north every single round, because it has actually given a lot of information to Fnatic throughout these rounds.
They'll probably find it out when they counter-strat for the next time these two teams play.
It might be a little bit too late. I mean, this isn't double elimination.
Season 10 finals, or if they're going to be if they end up playing each other in Raleigh, then look out for that camera.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm sure Nora will pick up on it eventually. If not, they still will have a good chance of recovering in that second half as long as they get at least 2 rounds out of this first one. At least 2. Nora is going to adjust their strategy, though. As you can see, it's going to be an armory take this time around, which is something that they have yet to really commit to fully. We've seen one person attack into armory, and it was a Hail Mary strategy, and that was in the first round.
I'm very interested as to why Fnatic switched off of the Bandit. So you saw Lusty running the Bandit in the very first round on Armory. He was looking to actively Bandit trick. He's now been on the Electroclaw duty in Kaid. And I think that, number one, you can't actively Bandit trick. I mean, Kaid can still, Electroclaw trick. Ramu goes down, that's going to be the very first kill. The IQ, and then Raisel just cuts Magnet down to size, but Virtue's there to take out another member of Nora-Rengo. So both teams will lose something in the ensuing fray. The Armory wall has been opened up, so Fnatic will now need to stand pat and hold 2 possible angles, as we can see 2 bodies from Nora-Rengo just looking towards the gaping maw of the Armory wall. Get the soft wall inside a small office with Rizraz playing on it, but there's only a minute to go. There's not an ample amount of time at the moment. Maryu down as he runs on in, and that's it. The round is over. Okay. I guess Nora-Rengo decided, blow the trumpets and get in as fast as you can, but 50 seconds, that call for urgency ends up being your own demise, and that's the 4th round now for Fnatic through 5.
All right, so a pretty easy holdout of an Armory wall. I loved the fluid adjustment there from Fnatic. Only mistake Fnatic made was actually an individual mistake. Not sure if it was called for, but ooh, wow, nice shot from Riz there. I'm not sure if it was called for, but Magnet rotated away from half wall. He heard the grenades flying, and he decided, I'm going to get the heck out of here. Did not work out for him in the end, but the refrag there from Virtue was the saving grace. And again, we keep saying Virtue with the frags, bringing Fnatic back into these rounds, and that really is the story here.
Virtue is 10-0 at the moment.
10-0?
10-0. He has not died yet, even in the, or well, no.
No, he has died. He died on the one round that Nora won.
Why does it say 10-0?
Does it actually?
It does say 10-0.
Huh.
The scoreboard is 10.
Yeah, well, okay.
I was going to say 10-0, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Wait up.
10-0-1.
10-0-1, there you go. So 10-0 assists, I guess, is probably what it is. Whatever the case be.
Bad caster.
It's okay.
Numbers don't lie.
He's been doing very well.
He's 10-0-1 at the moment. And yeah, I mean, if you're trying to match the productivity that he had at the 6 Invitational, that's a pretty good start, I would say. He's allowed to just have complete free roam, and I'll see what he'll be able to do on attack as well. The rest of the team all kind of keeping even pace with each other below him.
So, good effort by Virtue individually. He has been, hailed as one of those top players out of APAC for a long time, and he's continuing to prove that here today. As we discussed, or as the analysts rather discussed earlier, Virtue did kind of prove that same point at the 2019 Invitationals. Now, Mary is going to be taking control of East Stairs. You can see clearly that East Stairs and underneath has been droned out already, so he's got a lot of confidence pushing in here. Also clear that CCTV is empty, so Nora are going to take both East and CC, and with those 2 positions, they can, well, kind of work any strategy out that they want to on an upstairs clear before actually hitting the site, which is ventilation. Interesting reinforcement there. It's clear that Fnatic wanted to play inside of Customs, but now it's going to be a lot more difficult if that's open.
The double hard destruction that is not always commonplace on Border is a little interesting to see, but I mean, it's working for Nora-Rengo so far. They've been running a Thermite quite religiously so far through this matchup. Now, Hibana's just going to be able to take care of any of the hatches that they encounter, which is exactly what we saw her doing. And that's going to be the usage for Nora-Rengo to just try and keep the second floor control, which ultimately the second floor control is what won Fnatic this site on the second round. We saw it the last time. And it will be the last time that we see any defenses from Fnatic for the time being, as you have an interesting rotate coming in from Virtue over towards monitors. He could possibly catch Nora-Rengo off guard. As Nora-Rengo is so deeply focused right now on archives, they don't necessarily know that there's somebody playing inside of monitors. This could be very bad for Nora-Rengo if Virtue does not get droned out, because now Lusty as well as Rizraz are up there. This is going to be an interesting play.
Wow, okay, so 2 roamers in CCTV right now for Fnatic, and Ramu trying to come up on the balcony, looking for that. Shingo also near the main hallway trying to support. This is a really entangled set of 5 players right now. And, oh, first pick, there you go. Mariu takes down 1, and that's on the rotation. Riz does not get through the drop down, so Fnatic losing their presence on the top floor in CCTV as well. But Lusty with a double kill inside of Armory. He's made the rotation, he's there, he's safe, he's happy, and he's going to put Fnatic in a man count advantage with a run out as well. That's 3! Beautiful play from Lusty, and he will get shut down, but you can bet he's done his job.
Absolutely, and there's just, Nora-Rengo have really struggled to get a good grasp on where Fnatic is, and over the next 30 seconds, they're gonna have to find the remaining 3 bodies, as they do have upstairs control still, but they're gonna have to drop to their deaths. You know how vulnerable they are? They go through those hatches, and with the double hard breach combo of Nora-Rengo, they're running out of time. 15 seconds left, Ramu will hit the deck, he's hot in pursuit of 1 body, pulls out the secondary sidearm, Raisel takes down Magnet. This is technically winnable, but it's off to Aces and Virtue. Virtue will find 1, looking for the next. Where is Raisel gonna be? He's got the diffuser in his hand, there's very limited entry for him into the site. He'll start to plant that diffuser, immobilize, and as the clock struck 0, well, there's not gonna be too much to do, but Virtue, hello, there you go. Aces and Virtue will work together to be able to get that, and it'll be very easy to grab the diffuser as well. From their very first bout on defense, Fnatic will emerge with a 5-1 scoreline, a very lopsided match. We'll see what they can muster on attack, as Nora-Rengo have some work to do, as they will have possibly 6 rounds, maybe less, to try and keep this map close.
Now again, the last time these teams met each other, April 14th, 2019, APAC Finals, what allowed them to qualify for this event was actually a match that Fnatic managed to take. It was best of 3. It was 2-0 in favor of Fnatic, 7-4, 7-4. And again, Border was that map number 2 that Fnatic took so decisively. So what we're seeing right now is what we've seen before in the past, or so it appears. That was a really nice try in that round from Nora, but gotta be honest, the main problem was their, I'm not gonna say lackluster, I would say they weren't very thorough when clearing the top floor. I'll just leave it at that. Clear the top floor and then allowed Fnatic to rotate 4 players up. 3 of them managed to get back, but they had 4 players late rotate to the top floor because Nora wasn't shutting down those rotations.
2 things here, and let's refer to them as A and B. A, Fnatic doing an excellent job of rotates, being very fluid and unpredictable and catching a well-coordinated team off guard. B, a team not so well coordinated and being taken advantage of because they don't have the wherewithal to drone effectively. Please write your choices in the column below if you think it is answer A or answer B, or maybe a little bit of both column A and column B.
It's a little bit of column A, column B for me right now. I think there are definitely holes in the way that Nora are playing right now. Again, that last round comes down to Nora not shutting down rotations, and that is definitely a column B situation. But it's also Fnatic certainly playing just so on point right now. You cannot deny that. They are certainly looking like contestants for something greater than at this moment in time, and it's impressive to see. Now, timeout done. That was a really well-timed timeout, I think, from Nora. They need to recover. They need to recover. They have to. So stack on top of that half transition and try to get as much as you can. Now, they'll be going on to defense. They're going to start, of course. Actually, not of course. They're going to start on ventilation, if I'm not mistaken. It seems that way, yeah.
I feel like I just said that this was not common.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely a little bit weird to see a team starting on ventilation of Border. It's not the craziest thing, to be sure. It will trip up your opponents ever so slightly. Like, for example, ventilation. You don't have to bring a Thermite, you can. If you really want to focus on clearing those top 4 roamers, and it's very useful. But it's not as essential as it is when you're attacking straight onto Armory. So you know, a little bit of a maybe helpful thing there for Nora. Maybe. I'm grasping at straws, guys.
It is frustrating that these two teams, these Titans that have faced each other often represent a great region that has grown so much in our community, is right now looking as lopsided as it has. I mean, the thing is a lot of people entered into this series and entered into Milan saying that with the more time for Virtue to gel with the roster, the more time that Fnatic has been boot camping, which they were doing in the UK prior to this event, and the fact that Waka was taken off of Nora-Rengo, this is a great first step for Fnatic, who as a team tend to get very emotional. They are a team that tend to ride the highs and crash at the lows, as we've seen before, and a big momentum booster, which this match could be, which would propel them to play the winner of Team Empire versus Dark Zero, which we have up next, which neither of those teams is going to be a walk in the park for either Nora-Rengo or Fnatic. This could be a massive confidence booster for a team that, such as Fnatic, absolutely needs it. A team like Nora-Rengo, they're very steady. Even when they were losing at the 6 Invitational to Empire, which would be a rematch should Nora-Rengo and Empire win in these next 2 matches, they were still riding high. They were still affable. They still seemed happy no matter what. Yeah,
that's definitely I think a trait that Nora has, and we'll have to see if that continues without Waka. As talked about in the analyst desk, you know, Waka being an energetic character on the roster. Now, we're going into this attack, and I say that in that we've been in this attack for a long time, and Fnatic haven't really done very much with it. They're trying to clear out the top floor, but look at that, almost 2 whole minutes gone in that effort. I love and applaud the caution from Fnatic, but are they going to have enough time to actually hit the site? More importantly, I mean, we've got potentially 3, certainly 2, I'm sure, C4s on the defensive side. So once you get that top floor, the vertical pressure is going to be abundant. Oh. Wow, what a shot there. And that's going to be an early kill there for Mario. 2 refrags, though, from Fnatic, so man advantage not being taken away there from the Aussies.
Ramu's up next with Mario down below, and Racel will likely join them at some point as he was still upstairs playing inside of Archives. It's going to be a well-coordinated push that will likely come out from Fnatic, but Nora-Rengo has everything in their disposal, especially since you noted those Nitro cells and a pulse on the board. Having Ramu on that pulse will be so incredibly pivotal over the next 28 seconds of this round, and could be a major step in the right direction for Nora-Rengo on a site that Fnatic might not have fully prepared for. Because of the castle barricades being the way they are, Fnatic is going to have to filter on in through a setup that was created by Nora-Rengo, and they need some urgency. It's going to get blown out, and there you go. Mario goes down as Virtue catches Mario trying to rotate, but it's 8 seconds. Where's the diffuser in the hands of the Capitao? No, it's an Aces who's going for the plant. It's a double up from Nora-Rengo. Aces down. Where's Magnet? He doesn't have much time. Oh my God, Nora-Rengo. And that's a huge boost for their confidence to shut Fnatic down and take a round that they desperately needed to win.
Beautiful job there from Nora, a round they certainly should not have won, and they managed to take it anyway. Some pretty key mistakes made there by Fnatic. They split themselves up a little bit too much towards the end. We saw, for example, Zofia of Virtue going for a push into Workshop while the rest of his team is attacking a completely separate part of the site. That push ultimately met in demise. You can see it right there where Ramu takes down Virtue. It seemed like Fnatic had full control, but just some great play there individually from Nora to take that. Now, that is, as you said, an incredibly important round. Nora had to win that round. If they hadn't, they would have likely lost all of the momentum that they could have generated in this match. And now they're going to go on to Armory, much more standard site, and I'm sure it will be predicted by Fnatic. Not quite like what we just saw there on Fence, and that's going to change, I think, the dynamic here for both teams.
I mean, it's not uncommon, like I said, to see teams go there. It is a bit of a risk. It can often end up being a liability in the grand scheme of things, because if they lose that, it ends up being a 6-1 scoreline for Fnatic, who find themselves on match point off of a gamble that was being brought out from Nora-Rengo. But it keeps them in this game for the time being. There is still a monumental task ahead of Nora-Rengo, which is close this gap up. There are 3 rounds that you will need to win. You can do 1 on Armory, which is where they are going to play for this round, but then after that, you're going to have to go to Bathroom Tellers. You're going to have to go to Customs. You're going to have to go to one of the sites where it's unlikely that the defense will win. It happens. Fnatic was able to manage it, but maybe not Nora-Rengo, depending on how they play out. So that was a pretty big gamble that Nora-Rengo pulled off, but it worked. It worked quite effectively, and it was a large part because of Castle, who's a very pivotal operator, and it was Yoshingo playing on Castle then. He's going to be just as pivotal in this round as he's going to be playing the Valkyrie, and he catches one looking. Oh, my word! Aces, pinpoint precision, and he just absolutely destroys Ramu. Virtue falls as well, though, so Nora-Rengo will find themselves back in the lead. What a shot that was, and it takes out an incredibly important operator in the position of Bunker, as well as that is the Maestro off the board.
We were talking about the aggression from Fnatic on defense, and now look at this. It's the same thing, even more so for Nora-Rengo, as they are on defense just playing off their Valkyrie camps, going for aggressive plays. Here comes the C4 and the run out, and it's going to be a frag for Aces. Great job there for Fnatic, managing to shut that down. Yoshingo still, though, inside a CC.
And it looked like that was a great bit of coordination from Papilia and Yoshingo, but Yoshingo thought better of it because immediately you saw Aces come back up and pre-fire the doorway. Could have ended up getting a second kill, depending on how the pieces fell in that particular instance. But
he was ready.
Aces also finds himself in a position where he's very low on HP, and every single bullet from every single one of the guns from Nora-Rengo will take him out of action.
We've got 2 of the 3. Oh no, a run out there from Raysil, and he's gonna take down Aces finally. As I was about to say, we've got 2 of the 3 defenders in CCTV, and another one of them's gonna get a kill onto Lusty, leaving just Magnet. This is a stacked defense from Nora. They found their targets and they ran to them. And now that Magnet's position is given away, the marks are coming out here, and it's going to be futile for Magnet to try. Nora will take this round. That's 2 defenses in a row, putting them at 3-5.
You ban Nomad because you don't want to have to play against her, but you also ban Nomad because you don't have to worry about runouts the same way. And you just saw 3 opportunities there from Nora-Rengo to take advantage of the fact that nobody from Fnatic had the ability to put down any possible anti-runout or anti-flank materials, be they Claymores and so on. We also saw Fnatic doing the same thing, and these are big chances that Nora-Rengo are taking. Even though they find themselves having to dig them, their whole team out of this hole, they're still playing a very aggressive game. And it can very easily get under the skin of your opponents. It could very easily get under the skin of Fnatic here, who appear to have taken a timeout as Dizzle is instructing his team on exactly what to do. And this is the time that you want to take it if you're Fnatic. Nora-Rengo took it as the sides were switching because you're not really going to take a timeout for 1 or 2 final rounds. Nora-Rengo took a bit of a breather and retooled for a defense that so far is a perfect example of how you use those timeouts. They are 2 for 2 on defense. Fnatic is hoping to maybe change the tide with this, but right now Nora-Rengo are playing with a lot more confidence and a lot more structure on defense than they did on attack.
Yeah, you could see in that last round, for example, on the note of structure, Aces was stuck on that rappel for so long, and why? He didn't have anyone to cover him. He had to be the player in a double angle play position, watching the run out from front door, simultaneously watching the run out from CCTV door. And all the while, what is Fnatic doing? Nothing. Nothing. They've lost so much manpower. They're trying to get the players inside of CCTV, but they're accomplishing nothing because they're just waiting for runouts, and they come at the inopportune moments. So it's a really good job there from Nora, playing on their opponent, knowing what to expect and stacking on that CCTV hold. The majority of the defense in that last round came in CCTV. There was very little going on elsewhere for either team, and that is just good prediction from Nora, followed up by, well, follow-through from Nora, stacking up. Fnatic did not have the tools to handle it. They lost too much manpower early on. They did not adjust in time, and they lost the round because of it.
It does appear that we're going to be heading to Customs and Supply Room as the 3rd defense for Nora-Rengo. Now, as we said the exact same thing when the sides were inverted, and it was Fnatic defending. They defended the bathroom site on that first floor. We said, well, Nora-Rengo, here is your perfect opportunity. You haven't been so successful so far. Fnatic won their very first 2 defenses on Armory and Vents. Nora-Rengo the same. But Fnatic kept that going. They were able to win the bathroom site because of great second floor control. And Nora-Rengo looking a little bit lost as to how to take full control of the site, and then the beautiful retake that followed up from Fnatic as well. For Nora-Rengo, we're going to see a different site being brought out, and it's going to be customs. It's going to be the first time we see this site. Depending on what happens with the scoreline, it might also be the last, but that's something that needs to be shaken out here. How are Nora-Rengo going to approach this? Well, if you look at their lineup, they're going to be running with a very similar lineup to what we saw last time. They're going to forego the Valkyrie. There's likely not going to be a lot of run-out potential. They're, what? You think they're going to hunker down over top of customs and then keep a couple bodies in sight and just try and repel Fnatic as they push on in while maintaining minimal map control outside of that second floor? What's your thoughts?
I mean, right now it certainly looks like it's going to be a second floor stack. You see Mario's going to be putting up a barricade towards the front door, some barbed wire heavily stacked in that main hallway downstairs, and what that signifies is Nora consider that a weak spot. They're going to try and just, shore it up with what they have available. They're also opening up a lot of holes from above, which means they are going to be defending, you guessed it, from above, so that they can deny the plant inside of A, inside of B, using drop downs, using holes pre-made. Eventually, I'm sure they will open up one of the two drop downs in CCTV as a rotation, but it's possible that they'll just try and do a retake strategy on the heavy roam. So we've got some roamers far field by Armory, by Fountain, on the side of Nora, and those players are going to be in positions to later retake into CCTV if necessary. So Nora's playing, it looks like, a very fluid style here, and that's really what we've been seeing from them on defense outright so far in this second half. Just find where the opponent, that's Fnatic, is coming from and, well, address them. Say hello and stack up your players on that. If you can't win those gunfights outright, fall back and set up for a retake. That seems to be the mentality for Nora, but it's too early to call that. Maybe they've shifted away from what they've been doing earlier in the match.
Nora-Rengo's also got some dual kill holes / windows down into the site inside of monitors, so they can possibly look at these default plant spots. That's likely going to be the play here. Fnatic does discover that the Pulse of Ramuh is playing inside of Armory, and Fnatic opts to fall off instead of engaging that fight. At least Magnet does. We're just going to put Ramuh in a position now to greet Magnet. As you can hear the UMP shooting through that floor, and Magnet knows that Ramuh is wise to his tricks, and once again it will be another rotate from Fnatic. They don't seem to know exactly how to tackle this Pulse. In fact, nobody from Fnatic seems to have figured out that there were two bodies as well of Nora-Rengo playing inside of monitors, and that was both Yoshingo as well as Papilia. So this top floor control, as we speculate, is very important. And the moment that monitors decides to go in favor of Fnatic, should it, this could go very hairy for Nora-Rengo. Yoshingo gets pushed out right into the waiting arms of Rizraz, a name who we haven't really mentioned much today, and Fnatic will take the early lead, but there's a minute to go. And Ramuh immediately refrags him, shuts down Virtue. Papilia down below. Raisel's there yet again. He loves this supply room. He does so well in it, and he's going to continue to do so with just a minute for Fnatic to recover. But everything is falling away. Papilia takes down yet another, and Fnatic look completely lost. Drowning right now as Maryu will get a team kill, but also claim Magnet. Now it'll be all on aces with 3 bodies left in 40 seconds. This is a really tough position to find yourself in, and Nora-Rengo are making every single member of Fnatic pay over these 3 rounds.
This is certainly a no-hope type situation for Aces. He's got to enter into a crossfire to make this happen, but he will vault site, take the diffuser, and vault out before being finally shut down. Maryu, last kill of that round, and a good performance from him individually. The overall setup there from the defense of Nora was actually quite beautiful for a number of different reasons. It was feigned as top floor control, and when Fnatic went for CCTV, they invested so much of their manpower in that. They started coming into CCTV and being torn apart from the players below them. Love to see it from Nora. Beautiful strategies and stuff that you just don't usually have happen. Again, one step ahead is Nora on this defense, and that seems to be the story for the second half, as they are very comfortable here.
And they get to go back to ventilation as well, which did catch Fnatic off guard, I believe, in the way that they played in particular. Fnatic were very much a victim of the clock the very first time that they had to attack this site. They're likely going to be a little bit more adaptive and hopefully more reactive if you're a fan of Fnatic. A lot of it hinged upon the castle play. From Yoshingo downstairs, like I said, funneling Fnatic into the spots where you know that you as Nora-Rengo have your bodies to stop them. Raisel in particular. Yoshingo's going to be back on this castle. And it looks like it's going to be, for the time being, at least a very similar setup. So, interesting. Fnatic saw the setup that Nora-Rengo had. There's an opportunity here for Fnatic to be able to move around it. I would imagine that there will be some small changes from Nora-Rengo as to how they guard over towards the bathroom side of things, which is where those castle barricades were located last time. You know that you can't just really jump into ventilation the same way if you're Fnatic, because you will almost assuredly die as Nora-Rengo, or, well, as I said in the last round, wise to your tricks, especially with that side of vision.
On the note of wise to your tricks, I think one thing that needs to change for Fnatic is their CCTV take. Every single time Fnatic goes for a CCTV take, which is, I think, most of these rounds, if not all, so far in the second half, they seem to get shut down by Nora, who are just so ready for it. Not just in holding firm in CC, but also below CC, or to the side of CC. Anywhere. Anyhow, Nora are prepared for that take, so time to experiment if you're Fnatic. Time to bring something that could potentially change the outcome of these rounds, as Fnatic have yet to win an attacking round. Looks like it's going to be another anchor inside a CCTV, or heavy roam if you want to call it that. Ramu is going to run away using one of his impacts, so there are no more roamers inside of CC. He did eat a lot of damage. Might have been, I believe, no, it wasn't from a grenade, so it must have been his own impact that did that damage. Hate to see it, but it does happen.
It's a blow too, because if you lose the Legion early on, a minute on in, you don't have a lot of utility that's been built up at this point. It's a very integral gadget through the final minute of a round, not just for sound detection, but also for anti-plant. There are an awful lot of things that Legion can accomplish just simply by existing until the final moments of any given round. So, you mentioned that Fnatic needs to work on the way that they take this monitors and security hold and where they go from here. Well, they've got Rizraz in there for the time being. It looks like it'll be a successful thermite charge off on the wall, and you've got complete control of Armory now as Nora-Rengo have peeled off. They're gonna sit over by Sandwich and wait. You've also got Racel down below the site, as the Mute likely has a Nitro cell in his hands.
He does have one Nitro, and it is the only Nitro here available for the defense, and we'll see if it actually manages to influence this round. He is just waiting patiently down below. Fnatic look to want to try and clear out under the sites before they go for the push. They still have all of their utility on the Capital. They're still ready for a straight-up execute. But look at the man count. It's still a 5 versus 5. Correction, it looks like Shingo's going to get the first kill. So things are changing rapidly on the face of this attack for Fnatic. They need to make something happen in their favor. They're so spread out, though. What is the attack strategy is the question in my mind right now. Virtue seems to be going for a very late flank, but it is just that, late. And from below, no, potentially through the soft wall. Papilla's going to get one, now two. Mary will shut down Virtue on the flank, and it's just Rizraz who's trying to hunt down roamers. What is going on with this Fnatic attack? It is extremely messy.
He's only got 10 seconds left, and he's basically a dead man down below, and there goes Ramu to get the very final kill. Nora-Rengo have tied things up. The crowd elated with this comeback that we see from the Japanese team on the stage, and well, I said that if you look at past results, these maps don't really tend to be that close. The team that takes an early lead will snowball from there, and then with it goes the series. We could see that trend line snap here, as it doesn't really seem to be the case.
Well, I mean, on the note of snap, if you look at, like, for example, when these teams met each other at the Invitational, map number 1, Bank. It was an 8-6 in favor of Nora. A very close match, super exciting. If you haven't seen it, you certainly should. Assuming you don't care about the spoiler that's just now. The next map was a 7-1 in favor of Nora. I mean, it's completely one-sided. Very, very much just Nora walking away with the match. Fnatic seemed to fall asleep in that second map. And so when you say snap, I agree with you. I think once one of these two teams starts to break away and they start to get the win, or even, if they take it to the last round, but whoever gets the win here, I think it's going to have a pretty heavy advantage going into map number 2. And I think that's been the story for a long time with these teams, and I think it'll continue to be so.
I actually think that this Thatcher ban that was orchestrated by Fnatic is working against them for the time being.
Oh, yeah? I mean, you're right.
The biggest issue that Fnatic seems to have, which is the issue that Nora-Rengo had, was information gathering. And if you look at the fact that Mute has been a staple on both of these teams for this game, it doesn't look like Fnatic is aware of where Nora-Rengo is positioned. Now, obviously, drones are your biggest asset to be able to figure out where they are, and when Mute jammers just shut them down in their tracks. And that appears to be the issue for the time being with Fnatic. They are not able to get the intel that they want. They don't have the EMPs on the Thatcher. They haven't been running a Twitch at all, and even then, depending on where you place that jammer, Twitch might not be the best counter in the same manner as a Thatcher. So you put a lot in the hands of IQ, which is on Rizraz, who will find actually both of the Valkyrie cameras. That is possibly debilitating to the defense, as Yoshingo now will only have one black eye cam that will be gathering information as to where Fnatic are going to be pushing from.
Well, surprise, surprise, Fnatic are going to be pushing into CCTV. We've seen that before. Now, it's going to be Papilla sitting by the shelves, and nade goes in, but oh, it goes wide and hits Yoshingo. Great nade there from Magnet, and that is a good start from Fnatic. One of the few good starts they've had on attack.
Yeah, you lose the utility from the Valkyrie, you lose the Nitro Cell as well. You lost 2 of those Evil Eyes, and now Papilla falls as well, so Fnatic's push inside of monitors going quite effectively. Ramu with the counterpunch onto Aces. That will also be the diffuser falling, as the singular hard breacher for Fnatic will be out of action for the remainder of the round.
So, Nora aren't completely out of this yet, but it's going to get worse as Ramu gets shut down by Magnet. Okay, on this Armory defense now, Nora are in a very tricky spot. Rayseal's playing over by offices, so that leaves just Mariu as the sole anchor here to defend this Arsenal take.
But I mean, it's a 2v4 and you don't have a hard breach on Fnatic. That could be very easy for the defense of Nora-Rengo to hold on, depending on where Fnatic decides to push on in from. Suspecting that there's a body playing by Bunker, which is Mariu, there's going to be an asphyxiating bolt that goes down, but Mariu is peeled off. He's going to decide to take the fight, though, with Magnet. He's going to lose a lot of HP. Rizraz just jumps right on in, looking for 2. Oh, he gets 1, pulls out the pistol, looking for the other. There you have it. Takes matters into his own hands. We haven't heard a lot from him that round. Very important stretch to put Fnatic on match point on map number 1 and finally stop this landslide that Nora-Rengo was in the process of riding all the way to the finals for this map.
Well, I mean, it certainly has seemed like the defenders' play place here on Border so far today, and a lot of that, I'm sure, does come down to the fact that we got a Thatcher Nomad ban. I mean, those 2 operators both allow for a lot of, well, I mean, on the side of the Thatcher, it means you can, as you said, mute every single round, and just an abundance of information denial there for the defenders. On the Nomad, it means that you can rotate as a defender. You can get aggressive as a defender. It means you're no longer cut off anywhere as a defender unless there's a barrel pointed your direction. Now, that hasn't been a mindset in terms of the barrels being pointed in directions that has worked for either attacking team so far for this match. I mean, at least outside of, what's this, 2 rounds, 2 attacking rounds so far total. So you need to have a little bit of luck, it seems, with the formula that's been presented to both of these teams to get an attacking victory. Fnatic, that last round, they just happen to be in the right place at the right time. They get those kills on those rotations. They clear out CCTV thanks to that beautiful nade from Magnet. They managed to turn that into a good clear of the roamers following that. There was such a manpower advantage for Fnatic. They managed to hit the site and just refrag each other.
Now, we're on match point now between these 2 teams that will propel us over to Clubhouse, which is going to be our second map. Now, keep in mind that Border was Nora-Rengo's pick. The last time this was played was only just a couple weeks ago at the APAC Season 9 Finals. It was a 7-4 victory for Fnatic. But that was with JJ on the team. That was without Yoshingo. Safe to say, on paper, a stronger team for Nora-Rengo. But how they've been able to play and adjust is the real question. And so far, I gotta say, when they picked up momentum, Nora-Rengo did look like a much better team, but both of these teams beat themselves on attack. Nora-Rengo was beating themselves with their hesitation, their inability to collect information, and just losing straight-up gunfights to people that they weren't expecting, and Fnatic just could not simply overpower the defenders of Nora-Rengo, even when they knew where they were, which wasn't all that common.
Looks like Fnatic going for another CC take, and it's gonna be Yoshingo and Papilla as well. Here, again, in CCTV, trying to hold up this Fnatic take. Yoshingo gonna go for a run out, and he might get a kill or 2 here. He'll get Virtue, that's a good one, but Magnet with the refrag. So it's not over yet. A double run out, though, from Nora, and it's complete exchange here in the man count. Fnatic managed to take 2 for 2, and that is impressive. At the same time, they gave away a lot of manpower and, well, time. And the operators that were exchanged definitely favor Nora. You You've got a lot of utility on the side of Fnatic just gone, whereas all of Nora's utility that could have been lost is a pre-placed sort of utility with the ADSs and the Valkyrie camps.
Absolutely. Fnatic lost that trade quite handedly. You lose your only set of frag grenades, which were in the Buck. You lost your soft destructive capabilities in both the Zofia and the Buck. So there's an awful lot of things that Fnatic might need to change up with the remainder of this round because two incredible operators have been taken out of action.
And look at this now. Nora have brought all of their manpower back to site. They've said, all right, you know what? We've done our damage. We've done what we set out to do, and we're going to bring everyone back in just to play safe. And that's Remu and Mariu just sitting inside waiting for the attack to happen, knowing that Fnatic are going to take a lot of time to set themselves up. And, well, they certainly are.
I believe they're sitting in a very wonderful triangle, a nice obtuse angle between them. If I do understand my angles.
It does seem that way, yes.
It does seem that way. And because of Ramu's vigil ability, the suspicion for me is that he will be below. I would gather that Fnatic will likely think the vigil is playing underneath and instead not nestled into the site. But that's exactly where he is. And Fnatic will now need to struggle over 30 seconds. That will separate them from a possible second map, lest we go to overtime and see exactly what happens from then on. They've got 25 seconds, and their entrance will be heralded by a slap on the wooden barricade. Asphyxiating bullets for Lusty will go out too, and now he's going to try and shroud out any possible view as the smokes go down. You've got Rizraz holding an angle, Lusty going in for the plant. Mariu takes out Rizraz. There goes your flank watch, looking to come back in. Oh, Mariu wins the fight on the aces. Lusty is completely vulnerable. He won't win it. Mariu, 3 huge kills. Nora-Rengo come out of nowhere. Oh my goodness, and 4 kills in total for Mariu, as that'll be overtime, and a great bit of elation on the side of Nora-Rengo. This map is not over just yet.
And Mariu gets a last kill there at the end on Teresil, actually. So he technically got 5 kills in that round. Great job there to Mariu. Huge round overall, individually, and you got to hand it to him with the performance that was needed to keep his team in this match. So, 6-6, as you said, OT. Well, this is a pretty desperate situation if you're Fnatic. A lot of this is going to come down, in my mind, a lot of this is honestly going to come down to who gets OT on defense. Or OT on defense, pardon me, defense on OT. So we'll find out when we find out. We'll get into it just in a second. I believe it should technically be Nora. We'll see. Now, given that Nora will have OT on defense first, they're going to be able to defend one more round than their opponent. That will be a pretty huge advantage, as we've only had 2 attacking victories on Border so far.
This is where it's going to get interesting here. Nora-Rengo wasting no time. They'll go down to Ventilation and Workshop, which was the site that flummoxed Fnatic the last time that they went here.
Yep.
And it was actually a site that went perfect. Nora-Rengo's only loss on defense was on Armory, exactly the same for Fnatic. So it'll be interesting to see when Fnatic goes to their defense. They will get, at minimum, the 1 crack at it. That might be all that there is in this matchup. It could end up being an 8-6 for Nora-Rengo if everything goes their way, but a Ventilation Workshop for Nora-Rengo makes an awful lot of sense. It was a site that they looked very strong on. They controlled that second floor very effectively. They were able to completely shut out Fnatic's ability to gather information on them, and then just win every single gunfight on top of that. Information is extraordinarily powerful in this game. But when you are constantly blind and essentially having to just fly into rooms, not expecting somebody to be there, the unconventional style that we see out of Nora-Rengo and how they defend as aggressively as they do, it's really been able to beat Fnatic to the punch on so many different entries.
Playing with fire there, Shingo. He's going to give away one of his evil eyes. He's trying to distract, potentially get a kill for free, but it was a little bit late on the throw. Too easy for Virtue to detect. Now, Fnatic have to clear out the top floor before they start hitting the site. They know this, and that's their primary focus at this moment in time. Virtue's going to choose to try and clear out open area. Looks like they're going to shift their focus actually down to maybe a bathroom take based on what we're seeing right now. Mariu getting aggressive, just trying to take those gunfights that he has been winning outright so far throughout this match. And, well, he might actually get a kill onto Virtue if Virtue doesn't play this correctly, but seems like he's seen the tracers and is aware of the angle.
Yeah, they went sailing right by him and wondering, oh, I wonder what happened to that door there. Well, it was shot out. You now know that there's at least one body playing inside of Archives in case you hadn't drone that out, and it's possibly an easy task for Fnatic to keep somebody watching and make sure that nobody gets out of there alive. There is a drop hatch, though, so Nora-Rengo does have a pull cord or rip cord in case of emergency, and they can just hit the deck and rotate through the bottom floor, try to get back quickly to the site. Fnatic so far have used this 90 seconds as an investment into monitors and then over on the Archive side of things. I don't know if Magnet is privy to the fact that there was a prepped window over by Supply of the Legion of Ramu just sitting and waiting. Magnet is waiting for a possible spring out. There you go, you'll hear the goo mine. This could end up being a bait, but it does appear that Ramu is heading in the opposite direction.
Wow.
He'll come back and Magnet will completely look away. Ramu might go for the run out now. Oh, just inconsequential timing for both of them. And that could have been a very easy first kill for Fnatic, as we've had a bit of a slow start here. 1 minute left to go in the round, and everybody is still upright.
Yeah, Fnatic seem to want to clear into Armory, but they are making a mess of it right this second. You can see that it's just, well, pre-fire after pre-fire, lifeline, but no utility landing for the defense, or the attack, but it will for the defense. Yoshingo, a C4 from below. Virtue will take out Mariu on the clear upstairs, so Mariu's aggressive plays, trying to take fights, finally going to work against him. With a C4 from below, snuffs out the Capital. That is huge. Virtue gets his second kill, though, not to Papilla, so there you go. Fnatic keep the man advantage. They also now have control of top floor, which is huge. They're clearly angling for a ventilation take, and with the control that Fnatic has, it's possible, but Yoshingo with his second kill to answer back onto Virtue's 2 kills. This is a great performance here from the newest player on Nora-Rengo so far in this round, but there's only 13 seconds left. Fnatic have to go for an attack straight into the site, and Rizraz missing some important shots. Virtue's gonna get his third onto Yoshingo, aces with one as well, and Virtue the 4th kill! A beautiful round from the Zofia of Virtue, and Fnatic take the first round of overtime, as well as the 3rd round total on attack.
Virtue is that correct? I would like to see the scoreboard, if possible, because if this is the case,
17
and 6.
Wow.
That is outstanding. I was going to say, the numbers that we have up there, he was within, heading into that round, he was far off. But now with this round, there is a possibility that he could have ended up breaking the record for most kills in one game. It's currently held by Rampy at 22, but that's not going to be the case. He will need to find an ace in this round, or we will need to go to round number 15 for Virtue to break it. But what a performance from him it has been. 17 kills, carrying this team on his back. An absolutely monstrous performance. And with Fnatic now going on to defense, is the way that the overtime role swap works and side swap, Fnatic will go downstairs to ventilation and workshop, which is exactly what Nora-Rengo did. Fnatic was perfect on this site. They won in both round number 2 and round number 6. There was a plant that went down from Nora-Rengo in the very final round of Fnatic's defense, but Fnatic were able to not just kill every single member of Nora-Rengo, but also stop that diffuser from going off.
So yeah, just to be really super duper clear, what we just saw there on the side of your screen, those stats aren't to be trusted. Right now, Virtue sitting at 17 kills. So yeah, he could potentially get close to that record. It would be quite interesting if it were to happen. Now, Fnatic going to the ventilation defense first. I like to see this. I think it's probably the right call. Vent seems to be the favored site for both teams. Somewhere they're both very comfortable. The only attack that Nora managed to win on that first half was onto an Armory. Why would Fnatic take that risk? So here we go. Good game sense, good awareness from Fnatic. The overall setup here is looking a whole lot like what we've been seeing from both teams throughout, well, both halves. Big difference here is, of course, the Maverick. Mariu and Nora-Rengo has been bringing that Maverick, and it's been such a useful tool for Nora. They're going to be able to open up jail because of that, and that is a huge advantage to have over your opponents when attacking onto ventilation. If you really want to isolate that B-bomb site, you can push into storage from jail and then turn that into a kind of a cutoff using an angle straight into servers. Yeah, it's a great way to hit this site. But you also still have to clear out the top floor. You have to be wary of those roamers upstairs. Fnatic do have some. It's Lusty and Virtue playing by Armory and Archives.
So Fnatic, as most teams do on Border, will live and die off of the second floor hold, in which there is a considerable focus from Fnatic for the time being. Rizraz, Virtue, and Lusty, this holy triumvirate that has been in play for Fnatic has been so crucial. Lusty had a massive round here previously on Ventilation and Workshop, but of course Virtue's been having massive rounds all over the map. It doesn't really matter where it is. As long as he's in play, there's a good chance that Fnatic is going to be able to battle back. They find themselves once again on match point. They have 90 seconds to possibly survive, as everything falls for the attackers in this. Get the bomb down or get the defuse down, defuse the bombs. There you go, kill everybody on Fnatic. There you go. Nora-Rengo are getting very close to Fnatic over on the opposite side of things. Lusty is still playing these double reinforced walls, as you can hear the asphyxiating bolts behind him. It's not going to do any damage to Lusty though. And you're going to find the very first kill goes on to Magnet. Once again, found out and caught out with Lusty playing in the same spot. As Kaid before, he was not able to do too much. He sees the Maverick, will he be able to win the fight? Oh no, Lusty missing far too many times. Pistol out, can he pull up some heroics? No, Papilia will find him. And everything will be happening in a hurry as the rest of Fnatic will turn tail and drop down towards the site. Virtue, possibly on a flank. He can get one, he'll start, but he'll get caught immediately from Papilia. And now down goes Aces. Rizraz will need to kill 4 members or ride out the remaining 30 seconds. Doesn't really have the best kit to do it. And we're gonna need the ultimate overtimes of overtimes, as that is a lockout from Nora-Rengo in a very impressive round that will push us on to the 15th and final round between these two teams.
Wow. In the regular match, the first 12 rounds, 2 attack wins, and then you go into OT, and then both of the first 2 rounds in OT are attack wins. And this is the advantage that Nora has. Now they get to go into the very last round defending. That's as good as it gets if you're Nora. This should be able to get them map number 1. Ramu and Mariu having some really amazing performances. 12 kills for Ramu, 13 for Mariu. Virtue sitting at 18 now. Comfortable, but not quite as good as having 2 people heavily contributing. Right now on the side of Fnatic, you've got 3 people with 7 kills. That's Riz, Aces, and Lusty, and Magnet sitting at 8. So it's a pretty across-the-board performance from everyone but Virtue on the side of Fnatic. Overall, though, that clear of the top floor in that last round from Nora, that was the best clear we've seen, I think, outright, of the roamers upstairs on a ventilation defense. It was beautifully done by Nora.
I think that was the second time that Magnet got found way too early on as well, right? He got basically picked off and wasn't really much of a factor. This happened before when he was playing on that Valkyrie previously on defense. I mean, his team still, if I remember correctly, were able to I think that was the round actually where they lost, but I was going to say his team was able to recover to an extent, but I think that was the round that they lost. And I mean, when you find yourself basically giving away a life for free, it's very difficult for you to be able to find your footing after that. And Magnet in particular, who has been a standout for Fnatic in the past, has been not necessarily quiet, but just as consistent as the rest of the team. That is a problem. That's a major problem because you lose that map control, you lose that worry about a possible later flank too. Something that Nora-Rengo has been doing exceptionally well is being able to catch Fnatic off guard later on in the round. It's something that Fnatic has done too, but not as effectively, I find. And the problem is that when you have Magnet go down for no real reason, you find yourself in a greater hole for, an abundance of reasons.
So here we go. Twitch on the Fnatic. Ace is bringing that. Actually, no hard destructor on the side of Fnatic. Something to point out here.
That is very interesting.
They're leaning heavily into the fragging. And you know what? Yeah, they made as well. Because the way that these rounds have been playing out, Nora gets aggressive, they get a couple kills, Fnatic get refrags. It's the sort of situation. It is why we saw Nora ban Nomad. Because they really wanted to have the freedom on defense to just, hey, push you. It is going to be interesting. Border without a hard destructor can be very difficult. Looks like the ADS might have caught that grenade, so good job there to Papilia. Yeah, it will catch the grenades. It'll clear out a few other things from the lifeline. So much utility being eaten up here by Papilia's roam inside of CCTV, alongside, I believe it was the Valkyrie of Yoshingo.
And Yoshingo had fallen to a frag grenade from Magnet in a very similar position. And you got to imagine that with this round, whoever gets the opening frag will be in excellent position to just ride out the remainder of the time on the clock, which is going to be Lusty. Taking out Raisel, a bit of a misplay there from the Mute, and a great read from Lusty to be able to get what ended up being quite a long-range kill. It's going to put Nora-Rengo in a position where they might have to see some bodies rotate out of the site. For the time being, though, Nora-Rengo is going to hold on and keep a pretty good grasp on monitors.
Mario just fell out of offices, which means he's coming to stack up on Army to support his teammate. And it seems like Nora is holding firm on CCTV. They've wasted so much time here. Virtue's going for the entry, though. He sees the Valkyrie and lands the shot. Beautiful gunplay there from Virtue. Huge pressure on that team, but oh, there you go! Fnatic put themselves in a decisive lead thanks to Virtue's excellent gunplay, but here comes the run out from Papilia. And he's going to take down Aces. Going for a second, but can't find it. Will make it back to the site, though. Not unscathed, but certainly unpunished. Virtue, though, another kill for himself. That's 3 in this round. And Rizraz, the final kill. Map 1 goes to Fnatic.
And with that kill on the Rizraz as well, Virtue ends the day with 21 kills on that map, one shy of tying Rampy's record for the most kills in a singular map of professional Rainbow Six history. 21, 2, and 7, the story of the day. You can borrow the term from a variety of other games, but the hard carry for Fnatic in Virtue will prove to be a significant difference maker. But to me, the greater story is not about Fnatic. It's about Nora-Rengo.
Yeah.
A lot of people came in and suspected that without Waka on the team, that there would be a weakness that Nora-Rengo would see, and they would struggle mightily. Now, this was their map, so it stands to reason that they would be as competitive as they were, but still, they push Fnatic, a team that a lot of people had riding really high coming into this actual map, this matchup. They push them to the very final round. That's a huge boon for Nora-Rengo, and we'll see what happens on Clubhouse and possibly even Consulate with the way that both of these teams have been playing.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw from that first map, from history, you want to say, okay, it's going to turn into Fnatic getting a 2-0, because that's usually what you see with these two squads. When they go against each other, it tends to go that way. And if you look further back, I mean, the last time these teams played on Clubhouse, which is the next map for the series, was, well, pretty long time ago. It was Six Masters 2018, but Fnatic managed to win that one pretty handily. Only one round going the way of Nora. So you look at this and you think maybe this is just going to be the 2-0 for Fnatic. They managed to take that map number 1. They look strong. They did have to go all the way, but at the same time, momentum is such a huge factor here. So it's something definitely to question if you're a fan of Nora, to really be concerned about. Will Nora be able to recover mentally? Will they be able to bring themselves into this map number 2 and get us to map number 3, which if we do get there, will be Consulate.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this in the Six Invitational, right? The very first map on Bank went 8-6. Everybody thought, okay, this is going to be a very close contest. I, as a caster, thought, all right, this is going to go down to the wire. But then map number 2 ended up being Villa, and it was just an absolute blowout. That was it. There was no fight that Fnatic had left at that point. It really came down to Nora-Rengo, took the wind out of their sails in map number 1 and just continued to go from there on out. Clubhouse is not a map, as you pointed out, that we have seen these two teams play, other than that Six Masters. You have to go back ages to see that as well.
Yeah.
This is a completely different game. This is two completely different teams. We're in completely different metas. Operators didn't even exist at that time.
So far back.
And it's going to be fascinating to see the way that these teams play this. It's Fnatic's map. You go into it, you have to imagine that there's a reason why they picked this map over any other. We have seen teams get beaten in the map ban phase before. There have been teams that have picked maps that we think, oh, they're obviously very confident on, but it turns out that they weren't actually the best on. We're going to see exactly how this falls, because the first map was exciting. I suspect that the second map is going to be as well. But while the players are taking a break, we have the analysts to give you a breakdown on what just happened in map number 1.